Tony, we're at the halfway point in the championship campaign now. How do you feel as though the team have progressed so far?
I think we have to be reasonably satisfied. I think that most of the time I've been here, we haven't had strikers. You know, I think that's a narrative that you've been talking a lot about for a long time. But I think around mid-table, I think it's okay. I know Sunderland supporters want to see the team at the top competing to get out of this league. I think the reality is, you know, without our main man really up the top end of the pitch for a long time now, it's not easy to this league to score goals full stop. And without strikers, we had to try and find a way. And so, you know, huge credit to the group that we've been working with. You know, the likes of Pritch and Elliot Embleton, and you know, Ahmed's really grown into the role as well. And just filling in those forward areas of the pitches. And the team grasping that they didn't have really a target man yet. Ellis has got himself fit and played the last 6 or 7 weeks and scored a few goals and you know, can be a threat for us. I have to put into context that Ellis is still a young guy as well, learning the job, but doing very well with good physicality. And I think sometimes this league, having been in it quite a lot, you know, there is days where you need lots of good technical players, which is what we've had, but there is other days where you need some physicality and some strength and some power and speed at the top end of the pitch, and just the ability to be able to pick and choose what days you want to play with two big lads up top, and other days where you want to play with technical players and try and keep the ball and work it into the wide areas and get it back into the box. And so I think they've grown, and I enjoy working with them. My initial thought to come in was to just have a look what we've got. I mean, it's tough on the players, having had a real quick turnover of managers over the last year or year and a half. You know, if we go back to Lee Johnson would have, knowing Lee, having managed against him a lot when he was at Bristol City and before then at Barnsley. I think I'm sure he put a big imprint onto the football club because of the intensity that he works at and his own beliefs. But then for them to jump from Lee straight to Alex Neil, who again, who I know pretty well from his time at Preston, just down the road from Blackburn where I was, then at Norwich, of course. So different characters. I'm sure Alex was very central to everything that was done as the manager, and you know, he's a very intense guy, and I can feel on the team really as if they've been indoctrinated to play a certain way. I'm trying gently really to change it more into the way I prefer to play football and what I want to do. But I didn't think the right thing to do was to come in and smash everything up and say that's not what we're doing anymore, we're going to do this. My personality is to come in and have a look and encourage and see the good things and see the things that we gently wanted to change. And here we are halfway in the season, implementing things how we want to play and what we want to do. Good that we've got Ellis back, and Ross is on the cusp. He obviously played at the weekend and scored, so he's on the cusp of getting a start. And it's great to see Dan Ballard back as well, to give different types of options defensively. And so yeah, the sadness for me is a little bit that, you know, we pick up a couple of injuries, you know. So at this moment Pritchard wasn't ready at the weekend, and Danny Bath came off after however many minutes, and then Elliot Embleton obviously picked up his injury, and so you get a couple of players back like Sir Ross Stewart and Dan Ballard, but then you lose 2 or 3 as well at the other end. But I suppose that's football, and we have to accept it. And I think in general the whole group have equipped themselves and to the league, not necessarily anything I've done, but I think the group have adapted to the league very well, because it is a tough league, and they've shown that they can compete against just about everybody in this division. I think, you know, even on the days we don't win football matches, we're generally in every football match making it competitive. So yeah, how do I feel? I think we're on a journey. I think we're going in the right direction. I think we can get lots better. And I think as the players grow in the confidence that they feel comfortable in the league, I'm sure we will hopefully have a good second half to the season. I wouldn't sit here and start shouting that we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I think we just have to accumulate points, try and win games, see where it takes us. What I do is know is that I don't think the league is quite as strong as it was last year with Fulham and Bournemouth in it. I think there was, you were fighting for 1 or 2 places in the playoffs potentially last year. This year, it looks like the stronger teams are starting to come a little bit, and Burnley and Sheffield United, the bigger teams, Norwich and stuff, are really starting to push towards the top. But I still feel, we're all still fighting for every position in the league at the moment. From right to the top to where we are, it's not insurmountable numbers that you can win 3 games on a bounce and you can find yourself right within touching distance. So I think the league's exciting and we have to be a part of it. We have to keep winning games and competing in every match, and we should look forward to the second half of the season. We need to keep our big players fit, and for the supporters, there's no reason why they shouldn't dream, really, and who knows how many points we'll accumulate and where it takes us in the league.
Within your role as head coach, obviously it is within your remit to nurture these players, especially a young squad as well, but you're also a man that likes to tap into the emotional side, the human side of players. Yep. What's kind of your assessment's been of those players within those personalities within the dressing room as well?
Yeah, you're spot on, to be honest. I make connections with people and players, and I think the players have to get used to it. I touched on it earlier. You have to get used to another manager's personality, and I do feel my personality to Alex particularly feels, and I don't know Alex personally other than having managed against him maybe a dozen times over the years. I think it's hugely different, and I think the players have to adapt to that, as I have to adapt to them. And but yeah, listen, I just like honesty. I like hard work. I try to communicate to them. It's very difficult if you've got 25, 26 players to communicate every day with every player, and sometimes problems arise because it slips through your fingers that you forgot to talk to this player and he's not playing this week, and that's life, that's football. I've had that for 20 odd years. It's you try and keep them in the loop of where they are and what they're doing and how well you think they're doing. But the most difficult part of the job usually is trying to keep the players on the fringe, on the outside of the team, keep them motivated, keep them going, keep them knowing that there's a chance just round the corner. If there's an injury, you've got to be ready. Yeah, footballers are footballers generally. They like to moan about certain things. They want to win. The joy of a winning dressing room is amazing. It's great. On the back of the defeats, you need to pick them up. You need to keep them going. Be positive. Keep believing that what you're doing is the right way. And generally, as I say, they're not too dissimilar from most dressing rooms that I've had. There's a smattering of young players, there's a smattering of experienced players. What you really need is good human beings in there that when they're moaning, they're not moaning too much about serious things, really, because hopefully you've managed to put the values of the club right as how you see them and how we operate, and generally the balance has been okay, but it will get better as the relationships develop over the months, and hopefully if you're more successful you are, it's easier to develop them relationships because the players come along on the journey that you're trying to take them on.
A man with your experience only knows too well the significance of a Boxing Day fixture in the football calendar, especially in the North East as well. How much are you looking forward to stepping out into the dugout at the Stadium of Light on 26th of December?
Listen, I think the period itself is an important period because the games come so thick and fast, so that Boxing Day fixture is one of 3 that come really quick that week, and obviously we've got to go to the Northwest on the back of the Blackburn Rovers game. We're going to stay over in the Northwest for 4 days between Christmas and New Year, and it's probably not ideal for family life, etc., but the fixtures have thrown up, you know, Wigan and Blackpool, and I think the correct thing to do is to stay there, rest properly. Otherwise, we'd be getting back at 2 o'clock in the morning, like the fans will, and unfortunately. But we'll be getting back at 2 in the morning, and then do you bring them in and train next day, and then the very next day you're training and getting back on the bus and going back another 3.5 hours back to the northwest. So I think we feel it's best that we stay over there. We've asked Man United if we can use some training facilities, and I think that's what we'll do. And so hopefully the team are ready for these 2 games, big games, because the table can change quite quickly. If you pick up a lot of points to be played in a very short period of time. So in a week you could get 9 points and find yourselves in the top 6, or you could get no points and be looking over your shoulder. It's so yeah, it's an important time. Good to have our striker back who scored at the weekend, and yeah, and I hope there's 1 or 2 really talented footballers chomping at the bit to prove that they should be in the team and get back in the team and do, because you know, I think the group generally is talented. You know, a lot of individual talent that I've talked about over the coming last months, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the games. I think that our away form has generally been pretty strong. The Boxing Day fixture, just by the occasion of it, generally one of the busiest days of the year in most football clubs. Why? Because family come back home to see family, really, whether they're working away or been living away. They generally come back and they go to the match, and it brings memories of years gone by for them and stuff. And so generally big attendances. The team have to find a big performance against a team that are sitting currently 3rd in the division and doing pretty well. So it's a big test for us, but one that we're looking forward to. And you know, I think Blackburn Rovers is a team that's been grown over the last 4 or 5 years from a League One scenario 5 years ago, and they've got better and better each year, in my opinion. And here they are competing again at the top end of the table. It's a good challenge for us, but I think it's a journey that our club are now on. I think to be in their position, hopefully pretty soon, the next 18 months, 2 years. But you have to. I feel as if you have to grow your club. You can't. It's very difficult to come out of League One and think that you're going to get promotion next year straight away, and that was never the case for Blackburn. You know, I think, you know, we've finished 15th and 13th, and then whatever 12th, 8th. I'm not saying that necessarily has to be the journey that we go on, but you hope that there's improvement every year in this division. Stabilise first and foremost. Hopefully punch above your weight and do well. And that's still our aim, is to finish higher than we might think we could. But yeah, I think Blackburn is a club that is not similar in size, because Sunderland gets, you know, huge crowds, and Blackburn don't necessarily get the numbers that Sunderland get. But the way they've grown the club over the recent years is a good model, I think, to not get too anxious finishing a mid-table place, to understand where you've come from and the journey that you're on. Yeah, Blackburn is a big test for us, a good game, and one that I thought in the reverse fixture we played very, very well, and for long spells in that game, and yet we found ourselves losing it. And you know, Broughton Diaz scored a wonder goal with his left foot right in the top corner, and on the back of, you know, 20 seconds earlier, it maybe could have been a penalty for us at the other end. And their second goal is undoubtedly offside. That you know, it's one of them things. The official missed it, but he stood offside, and so it was a game we found ourselves on the wrong end of the result. But hopefully this Boxing Day we can find ourselves on the right end of the result.